Danielle, that's a hard act to follow, so. Thank you, everyone, for having us here today. It's so nice to be in a place with like-minded individuals. I know Trinity United Methodist has a heart for obviously serving those in need in our community, as do we. And I think if through COVID and watching all that's gone on over the last few months, it's become more apparent than ever that it takes all of us to do our parts in this. No organization, no one person can kind of solve all of these different issues going on by themselves. So thank you all for your support. I know several of you probably do know a lot about Food Finders, so I'm going to kind of give you a brief background and then let you know what we've been doing since COVID and how that's impacted us. And I have some exciting news that you guys are going to be the first ones to hear about. Because I'm on vacation this week. This is my last day before I go back, so I haven't had a chance to write a press release yet, so you guys all get to hear about it. So Food Finders has been around since 1981. We are the leading hunger relief organization for North Central Indiana. And our mission since 1981 has been to collaborate with other organizations to provide food for people in need and to educate, advocate, and address food insecurity across our area. A lot of people don't realize that Food Finders, we actually serve 16 counties. So although we're located here in Lafayette, we are responsible for ensuring that everyone has enough food. As far north as Jasper County, down to Montgomery County, on the east side to Howard, and on the west side to Benton, Fountain, and Warren County. So we have about a 6,500 square mile service area that we provide for. And a lot of times I think that gets lost in the messaging. So we have quite a bit of folks that we work with. And we have a network of about 110 agency partners. Those are the soup kitchens, the shelters, the food pantries that are out on the front lines feeding their communities. So that's initially how we operate and how we get food out to those that we need. Traditionally, last year we served 9.6 million pounds of food through the year. We measure everything in pounds. We can convert that to meals. It's just kind of an easy measurement for us. But back when we started in the early 1980s, you know, at that time it was like 200,000 pounds of food. So that just kind of gives you some perspective as how things have grown and changed so much over the years. So how do we do this? How do we move this food? How do we feed people? What does that look like? We have a motto that's solving hunger today, ending hunger tomorrow. So we look at food insecurity on kind of an equation, and we're working on both sides of that equation to help uplift people and stabilize their lives. So on one side of the equation, we have our Solving Hunger Today programs. Those are those immediate need programs like our food pantry. Those are helping people to eliminate that emergency need that they have. In that category, we have our agency partner program that I just talked about, our 110 agency partners across our service area. That's our oldest long-running program, and it's the one that's still the most effective. Our agency partners, of that 9.6 million pounds of food that we move every year, our agency partners make up the bulk of that. So we cannot do what we do without them, and we continue to need them to be feeding the hungry in their communities as we go along. Of course, we have our backpack program that's entering its 10th year, I believe, this year. Traditionally, we serve about 2,200 children a week throughout the backpack program, which is where we serve children on Fridays or the weekends, so they have enough food to take home with them over the weekend. I'm not sure what that's going to look like this year. We're just getting the numbers in right now, and it's drastically different. I think a lot of our packing and funding partners are waiting and trying to figure out what their schools are doing and what that looks like, so we're anxiously awaiting that. We have a mobile pantry program, which is a truck, a beverage-style food truck that allows us to take about 6,500 pounds of food out into a community that we serve at one time. It's a wonderful program. It's one of my favorites. It allows us to not only add additional resources into the communities that we serve. We have some really rural areas that we serve. For instance, Fountain and I think Warren and Benton counties have like one food pantry for the entire county. And if you're like me, you probably go shopping a lot more than that, and just being allowed to go once a month or anything like that is not often enough for people that we serve. So our mobile pantry program is another form of being able to add more food resources into that community. So we help supplement what they're doing as well. And we are able to serve about anywhere from 170, 190 families at a time. Everyone walks away with about 35, 40 pounds of food. So it's a wonderful program that's expanding greatly right now. And then of course, just a few years ago on the corner of 12th and Greenbush, we opened the J.P. Wyzak Community Food Pantry. That's a grocery store style food pantry that before COVID was serving 300 to 400 people a day in a little space about 1,500 square feet. It's very important for us to have a grocery store style food pantry people to feel welcomed and loved when they come in. We don't want them to feel judged for having to come in and ask for food. And one of the unique things about us, and it's really unique for food pantries across the country, we allow people to come back as often as they need to, which means every day if they need to. We do limit the amount of food that people get because we are open more often and allow them to come and shop more frequently. But even by doing so, I think what's the statistic? It's been so many months since we dealt with that. I think it was only like more than half of our clients only use us once or twice a month, despite being able to come back as often as they need to. So that's a very interesting statistic. We'll talk more about that in a minute. And then on the other side of the food security spectrum is the Ending Hunger Tomorrow programs. And so those are the programs that we have that work with people to give them the tools that they need to help them become more self-sufficient. So we get asked this a lot, you're just enabling people, you're just allowing them to come and shop whenever they need to, that type of thing. We really feel like you have to solve that immediate need first and kind of build that trust and get to know our clients while we're working on helping them with the long term and helping them to become self-sufficient. So that's really kind of where our work has changed in the last few years. So on that end of the spectrum, we have an education program. Unfortunately, that is halted right now, but we have a beautiful kitchen in our space on the corner of 12th and Greenbush. We have a garden program. We partner with wonderful community organizations that come in and teach our clients everything from basic household budgeting. Send to Your Bank comes in quite often and does that, to how to garden, or what to do with the food that they receive in the food pantry and how to make it a little bit more healthy. So we work with wonderful organizations, other partners, Purdue University Extension, IU Health, all different organizations come in and help us teach these classes because they have the experts, they need the clients in the space that we have. So that's a wonderful program. We're trying to figure out how to continue that in a different way as we move forward with COVID. We also have resource coordination, which was added a few years ago as well. Resource coordination is, it's morphing more into like a coaching program for our clients. So we're wanting them to come in. Initially, we help connect them with other resources in town. So if they're needing job training assistance, daycare options, low-income daycare options, transportation, anything like that, housing, we work together with all the other partners in town and can help connect them to the right resources that they need for their immediate needs. But long term, we're wanting to really delve in and figure out how we can help move them up that spectrum and help them become more self-sufficient. And then, of course, SNAP outreach. So we do believe that the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is formerly known as food stamps, that was the original safety net in the country, and that's what it was intended for. So we do work with people one-on-one. We can help people sign up for SNAP, kind of go through the application process. It's incredibly tricky. In the state of Indiana, you have to have a fax machine in order to submit your application and things like that. So we're helping our clients kind of navigate that system. The basic benefits that someone can get is $16 a month. And although that doesn't seem like a lot, and a lot of times it doesn't seem like it's worth the paperwork and kind of the rigmarole that they have to go through to get it, that's several gallons of milk a month, or there's just all sorts of things that you can do with that. So it's, again, helping to supplement their needs. Our goal right now is to solve the immediate needs of our clients while distributing food, while simultaneously teaching the skills that they need for self-sufficiency. So I always think of March 13th as kind of D-Day for us. That was when it became very apparent that COVID was here, and Purdue University, I think that week, was just shutting down. We were watching our volunteer numbers just drop like crazy. We typically use about 45,000 volunteer hours a year to help us continue the work that we do. We have about 9,000 individual volunteers in and out of our building every year. And so we were kind of just hit, instantly, because everybody at that point just didn't exactly know what was coming or what was going on, and we heard different things in the news every day. So at that point, we realized our volunteers are dropping like flies, and rightly so. A lot of our volunteers, if they're not Purdue students and they're high-risk seniors, and we were also faced with we are going to see an influx of people that have never had to use us before. So how are we going to manage this? And we made the immediate decision to kind of shut everything else down except for our 3 most impactful programs. And that was our agency partner program, making sure that all of our agency partners across our service area could stay open and operating and getting the food out, because, like I said, they're our #1 arm into the communities that we serve. We wanted to make sure they continue to get the food that they needed to stay open. And then our mobile pantry program, like I said, we're doing at least 1 mobile pantry in every county that we serve at least once a month, and making sure that was able to stay open and operating. And then our JQ community food pantry, we had to modify that into a drive-through style. the school for the last several months. They let us use their parking lot, and we did a contactless distribution system. So for the first couple weeks, we were just putting boxes into people's trunks and having them drive through. We started seeing about 700 cars a day. We were operating 2 days a week, 2 or 3 days a week in the beginning. But we still just weren't quite sure how to keep this up because our volunteers were still dropping, and all of our staff was being moved around into different positions because, ultimately we were considered essential, and we believed that strongly, and we just were trying to figure out how to make this work and not let our clients down. Luckily, in late March, early April, the National Guard, the Indiana National Guard, was deployed to all 11 food banks across the state. And we had no idea what that was going to look like or exactly what they were going to do for us, but we said, yes, please, we'll take them. And we had about 30 National Guard men and women from our community and the surrounding communities assigned to us since April. And they have been a godsend. They've been able to, for the first couple of months, just help us continue the operations that we were doing, continuing those contactless style distributions, going out on our mobiles, because not only were we not seeing, we were under the lockdown, like everybody was told to stay home. So, in our other counties too that we were serving at the mobile pantries, we didn't have volunteers. So our National Guardsmen were able to go out and continue those programs as well and keep up the JP Lysac distribution. During that time, we were surveying the clients, and we had about 30% of the people that we were seeing had never had to use or ask for food assistance before. So we know, that we were seeing a lot of people that were directly impacted by COVID. In June, we continued with the National Guard, it's like every few months they're like, okay, this is going to be the end, and then they get extended again. And so in June, we were able to add additional mobile pantries to all of the counties that we serve. So we were doing 2 to 4, depending on the need in that county. So the National Guard was allowing us to even offer more resources into the counties that we serve. We were able to start doing pop-up pantries as little extra resources in some of the lower income apartment communities around town and around our service area. So we've been able to do a lot with that. Since March, locally, we have served 31,551 households through the distributions that we're doing here. And across our service area, approximately 155, almost 156,000 households across our service area just since March, since kind of when COVID began. What we're looking at right now, there is, traditionally the 2018 data shows that we have a 12.9% food insecurity rate across our 16 county service area. They've adjusted and kind of put out some predictions with the COVID numbers with unemployment and poverty and kind of this recession that we're all leaning towards. And they expect that to rise to 17.9% of our community considered food insecure, with 26% for children under the age of 18. So that's what we are preparing for. That's what we're worried about and stressed out about and trying to figure out how to continue to meet this need. We opened up our pantry back open the first week of August and started allowing volunteers to come back. They're not beating down our doors, and I understand, rightly so. We are trying to take all the proper precautions that we can to keep our clients and our volunteers safe, as well as our staff. But our big concern for our food pantry was that we just still couldn't allow people to come in and shop. And our space was just too small for that. And so we started kind of behind the scenes working with the folks that own the Save-A-Lot up on Greenbush. And I'm happy to say we just signed a lease this week, and probably early to mid-September, we are going to move our pantry operation into the old Save-A-Lot space on Greenbush. So we're super excited about that. It's moving us into about a 19,000 square foot space. It's already set up like a grocery store. It has the freezers and the coolers and shelving and checkout lines and all sorts of great things. But the most important thing is that it'll kind of bring our clients' dignity back. They get to go through and shop. We don't just have to hand out a food box, which is what we've been doing all through COVID for Operation Ease. It will allow them to shop, and most importantly, it will allow everyone to shop pretty much at the same time. They'll still have to check in with us, but currently we have a small waiting room where everybody stands kind of shoulder to shoulder to wait for their turn to shop. Because of the space and the magnitude at Save-A-Lot, it will allow them to go through and shop at the same time. So we'll be able to practice social distancing and help keep everyone safe while giving them the food that they need and more options. We also, this was made available through a grant through Feeding America, which we received. And in addition to that, we're adding an ethnic aisle of multicultural foods as well. So that's something that we're working to source and make sure that we have more foods available to all the people that we serve. So that's exciting. Stay tuned for that. Pastor Tracy also asked me what you guys can do to help. And I think you guys have been such wonderful partners and advocates for Food Finders in all the years. Always we need donations. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I'm sure everyone that's come has said that. For us, 96 cents of every $1 that's donated to us goes directly back towards food and programming. So we run an extremely tight ship. We're very efficient. And you can trust that your donations go exactly to where you want them to, which is making sure that no one in our community goes hungry. Volunteering, when you are comfortable and ready, we would love to see you if you're able to come in and volunteer. Volunteers are the backbone of our organization, they truly are. It's looking a lot different right now, but we do have a variety of shifts available on our website. You can take a look. We have one, we're calling it kind of a high-risk shift on Monday morning, so everything has been thoroughly cleaned the night before, and it's only for a group of people 60 or above who consider themselves high risk. And it's small and socially distanced. We're offering about one volunteer shift a day. We're just trying to kind of ease back into it while we still have the National Guard with us. So the National Guard is focusing on the client-facing interactions, and our volunteers that are coming back are working on kind of the production and packing and things like that we're doing. So we'd love to have you if you're able to. You can always follow and advocate for us on social media. That's very easy that you can do, but liking us and following what we're doing and keeping abreast of what's going on with food insecurity, we would appreciate that. Someone asked me this morning if we take produce, and we certainly do. We love extra produce this time of year. So if you're gardening and have extras, I know zucchini and tomatoes are in abundance right now, you can actually take those directly to our warehouse at 1210 North 10th Street, and that produce will literally either go out the same day or the next day to people that we serve. And then, of course, I think you guys have been involved with Hunger Hike for years, and I know it's going virtual this year, so stay tuned for that, but that takes place on September 20th. So we'd love everyone's support for that as well. So thank you guys so much for having us today. Thank you for taking the time to learn about all